As I was preparing for the episode, I came across a couple of phrases and prayers that are ideal for our topic. And so there'll be some stories, but it'll be a little bit of let's just chit chat also. Embodying yourself mindfully in compassion. So, as we talked about, that's you take me as I am. I am crooked, flawed. I have no shame. I'm an inner child, functional child adult. So, I delight in Maria. I allow myself to be the passionate human being and all of it, every single word, whatever I want. I'm going to have a dynamic self because I'm whole. I don't have child parts that need tending to. Okay, so I'm an integrated brain with pure consciousness online because I have coherence, because I have a default mode network that is down regulated. So my divine masculine is whole and empowered, so is my divine feminine. And then my masculine and my feminine. That's how I organize. The left is a chit chatter, the right, all that is from here comes up, and sensations, images, behaviors, affects, meanings. You can contain, and more than just that, you observe, witness, narrate, and bring forth functional adult, inner child, open-hearted conversations. So you are consistently a 3-year-old who's happy to be in relationships with spontaneity. You don't assume, you don't do the black and white thinking, you don't project, you can talk. And we can talk it out. We always have a good time. Okay, so with that, this is why you have the insula lights up, the amygdala, temporal junction, and your prefrontal. So you do have empathy, but with the prefrontal, you're in a state of compassion. So now I'm in my oxytocin gene hormone, which is why I'm a restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating person who is using my prefrontal cortex. That's the muscle that I am working out as I use mind sight skills, sifting through the sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. And then I'm also doing mindfulness. I'm focusing attention, and in the complete state of uncertainty, because that's what happens in the state of awareness, I know of my personality patterns, my one nervous system that is in, I'm going to anchor it into ventral, and that's because I'm doing kind intention, that third step to mindfulness. So I'm creating more integration. And I'm allowing the left, the chit chatter, to know, hey, left, science and spirituality go together. Leave it alone. We have not disproving anything. And even if somebody comes in with something opposite, it's not disproven. We don't need it, right or wrong. We don't do it that way. We work together. Okay, so that's the integrated brain, restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating, whole self. So my prefrontal is on, which is why I'm also in the present. And Dr. Daniel Siegel's acronyms help me to explain. So being in the present is me in the now, is me using my prefrontal. And like as Tara Brach points out, when you're in your limbic, it's alert, alert, and the waves. And that's why that Zen master, he doesn't know how to surf. He's in the waves. So he's in a roller coaster. He's in the an ocean that he's completely scared shitless of. Okay, that's how people get when trauma is happening, because they're overwhelmed with their window of tolerance. So they can't handle their emotions in a way that is, I can, at ease, use those 10 seconds, 90 seconds, however many seconds an emotion lasts, which as you live mindfully, you'll know all about it, and compassionately. Okay, and that's where God, to me, with Jesus, Holy Spirit, is where it began, and then it continued. And so the phrase, take me as I am, which appears in a prayer that expresses a desire to be accepted by God despite one's faults, is you take me as I am. I'm a sinner, I'm flawed. I do have integrity though. I can be seen as crooked by you, you can see me as crooked, vice versa, whatever, but either or, I have self-acceptance, self-worth, as Dr. Daniel Siegel or Dr. Daniel Fox or Terrell or Patrick Tian or any of those good therapists who say how a person can lead with their higher self. And that's the part of where, when you're a mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, it's easy peasy to be here, or basically the journey for me was easy. So the prayer also includes the phrases, summon out what I shall be and set your seal upon my heart. This is where I chose to stay open-hearted and kind as I met the adolescent cowards who were unkind, and as I grew up, that didn't change. I just saw no Lucifer God by the time I'm 19, 20, just cowards. 45, the same cowards don't go to Patrick Tiahan to get rid of their doomsdayer, their doer, their hostile, their ghost, or their are we good, which are all childhood trauma personalities. So when I meet Diego's family, I don't need to do anything. I'm not decent enough to be saluted. I don't need to do anything. They have the choice if they want to go and get into their higher self. It means their prefrontal and become an actual functional adult, bare minimum. The prayer expresses the idea that God has gifted people with potential for good. The Prayer is the take me as I am. Yes, you're only going to be accessing your kindness when you have a reparented inner child who is now empowered to be in their ventral energy. Until that moment, I have an adaptive child who is going to be rigid, harsh, unforgiving, right, wrong, all that other stuff. Not going to do anything about the unhealthy, boundaryless human being. Whether they go rigid or chaotic isn't mine to deal with. I'm a non-traumatized, securely attached person who will self-regulate as I'm present when I'm in a physiological state of compassion as myself. So I'm just knowing that's not my nervous system, that's theirs. Hey, so as I'm attuning to, what do you want to talk? Are we good? What's going on? And now I resonate if we are interacting where you're trusting me. So trust means that you come and we have a good time. Now, if on the other hand you present to me Cusco's 5 poker hands, that's going to be a different story, but that's okay. So I'm going to stay within my inner child that is a functional child adult. You're going to stay in what is a facade, your self-fulfilling prophecy, karma, fate, whatever. It doesn't even matter. I mean, again, my facade friend is the perfect example. And I'm not going to do let me lecture you, because again, I don't lecture a person whose ears are, by the way, flopped down. Your 3-year-old is ruling you, and you are leading with karma, faith, and your fear of abandonment, rejection, your childhood trauma. You are leading yourself in the way you were held. There's a bunch. Or your child's version of what a grown-up could do, should do, with that rigidity and that very, very unnecessary dictating tone, as if you know what the right way is, the righteous people. Sure, okay, so a person that is of 5D, Dharma, non-reactive, neutrality, and positivity, because I ain't going to be in a nervous system that I don't do sympathetic. I self-regulate because I'm healthy and I'm empowered. So crooked, sure, keep coming with your naming, call, what are you doing? And you also learn how to completely not make faces, because that's the other part. The minute that you are mature enough with intellect, I've read enough books and know enough attachment trauma to know there's no, again, Lucifer or demons. Got a child in my room and or in the house or whatever it is, they need a therapist, not for me to be engaging in that. Also, I'm 4'9" personally. And so the prayer, again, expresses the idea that God has gifted people with potential for good, and that God will call on those possibilities for growth and spiritual formation. Yes. And that is when I and you engage, living a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self, and you taking self-awareness, accountability, regulation, and reflection, and becoming a securely attached, non-traumatized, functional adult, very bare minimum, who doesn't project your childhood shit anywhere. I don't need to deal with any of that, which is trauma that can be addressed. The people who will have stayed and will stay in 3D, 4D, they choose fear, biochemistry, alert, alert, alert. So they're like the Zen master. They're just going to keep navigating their sympathetic. We don't have to do anything about modulated, embodied, dysregulated people, because they still follow the laws. They talk like us, walk like us, but the difference is they're basically like the monkey and not the jungle boy. Meaning they're just pretending, and that's okay though, because their facade, they will say, no, this is who I am. They will call that which is their mask, and they will feel that they know what it is, and that they're not crooked or any of these others are, and that's based on their own biases and charges and distorted pause self. They're not even non-bilaterally integrated people do cognitive dissonance and structural dissociation. So you're talking to their, again, 0-8-year-old with a 16-year-old, and it doesn't matter however old they are, because they will have accumulated information. As Russell Coates point out, when you get angry and you are not able to be a master of yourself in your prefrontal, your amygdala is being used. The dark sides of neuroplasticity are being used. You are actively only going to be able to use that which you will have from yesterday, and you're going to slowly be dumber by the minute, because cortisol is saturating your hippocampus, and that's your memory center, and all you're going to give me is data with the way that you will have lined them up, but it's not you actively contemplating. You're just like a little automatic that a person as myself will not be taking it personally, because you're upset and just doesn't make any I'm not going to take you seriously because you're upset, and I'm dealing with your subconscious, really. So whatever's going on, it has nothing to do with me. So the part about another verse, Matthew 21:22, the individuals who need to correct each other, they're codependents, and they have martyrs of pure blamers, and they could use Terry Real and Patrick Tian too, so they could just become functional adults, know how to handle themselves with non-reactivity. Because again, you using words with someone who's upset because they're playing out something that is theirs to handle much more with a mental, emotional, physical mastery, that's biologically rude. That's what it is. And some people want to stay in their modulated, biologically rude attitudes. Meantime, for us, not the case. For those who put mindfulness mindset and mindset into practice and are living that which is ourselves mindfully, again, in a physiological state of compassion. So the love button is here, the soul is here, us with spirit and God and source, Akash Animan Mundi, accepting all the Lucifer thing. We don't use it because we don't demonize our brothers and sisters who could heal their trauma. And we know of neuroscientists to explain what happens to the brain. Also, as a mystic, I travel and have been and will continue to know of the lower planes. In fact, it's a very straightforward equation. We won't talk about it now, though. We're going to finish up with Matthew 21:22. Christ specifically tells the disciples they will receive anything they ask, but only if they have faith. This means trust in God and His power to do what He wants to do. It also means an alignment with the will of God. It does not mean using the Creator as a vending machine, which those people, all of them, who are basically casting stones on polyamory, on those who want to use pronouns, on those who have different preferences, they are casting a stone and they've forgotten who God is, because apparently you think you can claim to be the voice that says, I'm going to call you a sinner. You've forgotten that you are involved in the crookedness. And you also don't understand scientifically how your thoughts, emotions are not irrefutable facts. You also don't know how to therefore take data that is valuable and good of years and years of research. And so, it's not really something that we have to be concerned with. Who's we? Those of us of spirit that come with love, Jesus and God and Holy Spirit. We already know that we are rejected by a group of them. They disrespect yoga, they disrespect Reiki, and they disrespect education, and they disrespect academia and sciences. Some humor themselves and they disrespect us too. There's never been a medium ever, but the point is the smart ones, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, those are the ones that come together. So we are empowered masculines and feminines within, full-fledged human being. I'm an empowered feminine. An empowered masculine will know his empowered feminine. That's because they will have a body-mind that is harmonized. They will have a whole self. They will be their functional child adult, the way I'm going to use it, and living a restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable life, saying, I am who I am. Take me as I am. I am crooked. I have flaws, but I am not going to be an obtuse, ignorant, half-brainer. I laugh because seriously, the ones who get rigid and just, I'm like, dude, what the hell? Nobody is out there supposed to be each other's parents, dictators. I mean, since a teenager, I noticed this though. With my teenage boyfriend, it's like, I'm not possessive, I'm not jealous, you're not mine, I'm not yours. Get this straight, and this is not happening. I know exactly where I'm headed. People who know how to be their self aren't negotiating their happiness or their essence or their integrity. And that's the part of why being crooked just means that I can make a mistake like you can. I unconditionally love myself with flaws and imperfections. I don't have defectiveness. I don't have shame. I don't have any childhood trauma that needs me to do this and think that I have to perform for you. I'm not performing. I don't wear a mask. I have no mask. This is a heart. And it's on my face, because that's when you are a securely attached, non-traumatized, healthy, self-worth, empowered person. Neutral is the stance. And when people don't like it, they're demonstrating something that is theirs, not yours. So being able to have love, kindness, and compersion and listen is when you're embodying yourself mindfully in compassion, and that makes you life partner material for those who are securely attached, non-traumatized, because you know what life is about, because you know how you are potentially. We're all going to make mistakes. Doesn't mean we're going to get pissy in the face, because that's not necessary. Anger is about correction. No one needs to be angry because you don't need to correct me. I'm not to be corrected. I'm to be talked to. Sadness is about connection. That's going to be because I'm crying because I don't feel that I'm connecting with you. That's going to be there maybe. Surprise, it's a surprise. Disgust is because I have this taste for something. Fear, physically afraid or somehow, okay? So they all have a reason for being there, but the point is you don't get angry at me. I don't get angry at you because I ain't here to be your mama, papa, dada, da, 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 da. And that's with all people. You don't cast a stone, no characterological distinction. So functional or child adults, life partner or person in relationship, secure connections, I'll put it that way, just so that we can, but all is a interaction between differentiated selves, as Dr. Daniel Siegel used him, integrated brain. So I'm a guitar string, so are you. We're differentiated selves. I'm an open heart, you're an open heart. We're both choosing to be expanding piece of consciousness together, to trust. We all know about forgiving and that we're all able to make mistakes and nobody is going to be controlling or reprimanding anyone, okay? So I'm a differentiated self, thoughts and feelings. So are you, with whatever comes with us, our personality patterns, our thoughts, opinions, politics, religion, you name it, intellect, okay? A bunch of things. and then as my guitar string perceives yours, because I'm in my prefrontal, I'm curious, open, accepting, loving, okay? I'm attuning, hey, what's up? I'm resonating, and then we're trusting, so now we're going to get in a conversation. You stay differentiated, so do I, because we enjoy and accept each other just the way we are. You don't change me, I don't change you, but we embody the best version of ourselves because we choose to bring forth that which is what comes from within. And actually the last quote, and that is because you are your integrated brain. So with a whole self, you will be able to also know, and we've talked about this one before from the Gospel of Thomas. They say Jesus said it, some don't know for sure, but if you bring forth that which is within you, what is within you, what you bring forth will save you, and if you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. So when you have paused self people that don't get their earned secure attachment, don't get their solo self narrative relational core, and become then aware of the self as whole and becomes a verb and dynamic. So now I can enter a relational field and create an ecosystem with another human being as a functional inner child adult who spells out, I'm safe to be me, I'm secure, I know that I delight in what I want to achieve and that I am crooked maybe, yes, flawed, but I deserve happiness and fulfillment. So you and I will share life again as a whole, dynamic but differentiated, not enmeshing, not people who need to copy each other or need to, so this is a sense of security. That is what it means to be a person who has a relationship in general, and not losing yourself and not being afraid to speak truth, and you don't risk relationships. That's ridiculous. The interpretation of the quote from the Gospel of Thomas is, what we have within us is our salvation, and if we deny that salvation, then we are subject to the fate of what happens if we don't live the best version of ourselves. Pause self people are all over the place doing karma and fate, and they think they are living the best version of their life because modulated embodiment, like the Zen master with it's laundry, they think that's what feelings are, the fancy lady. It's dangerous to have no emotions. It's not true that it is healthy or enlightenment to be non-reactive, or that it is inherently. So if we do live the best version, we experience our destiny. Destiny is our greatest potential. Fate is what happens if we discount that potential. And as Sadhguru talks about karma today, let me read to you what he shares. Karma functions through certain tendencies, but with some awareness and focus, you can push it in the direction that you wish. Now, when you meet people who are living the adaptive child part, they will hostile, doomsdayer, doer, again, ghost, are we good? Or people who are rigid, unforgiving, they bring to you their opinions with an iron little fist and don't notice that they're unnecessarily closing things up. So they don't do well with decentralization of the self, and then to expand concepts because they don't do well with thinking and feeling, because structural dissociation means you're not an open heart, you're not an open, curious, accepting, loving person. You are actually in rigidity or chaos. So yeah, you meet facades, you meet masks, you meet personas, you meet a composé of people who, again, they do yoga some they don't. They do mindfulness some they don't. Zen master is that perfect example. But even if I give you all of this, at the end of the day, it's only if you're self-aware, accountable, regulating, reflective with the psych education that I've accompanied with all of that, which is spiritual, soul, and God. That's the one piece, the 4D3D. Definitely, they don't have the good sciences that explain you have heaven in the body, the kingdom of God, the seed of enlightenment. When you own your body, you can't own your body if you don't own the sensations, the images, the affects, the meanings, the behaviors of your first 3 years of life, including the fetus, because you are first and foremost the sensations that come up. As Bessel van der Kolk shares, it is a sensory experience. It is not a conscious construct. Subconscious processes, brains being formed by experience. And while Lisa says, yes, but the brain interprets it, and I get it, but by the age of 2, your brain's interpreting with words that are given to you. So you still will live those sensations. And so by being a sensory experience, it's the sensation. You get the message from the body, and they don't come from conscious constructs. So he explains it in a way of saying, for example, you go out and it's cold, it's cold, you wear a jacket, but it's not like you say it's cold. And so to relieve this mental construct, he says, when people try to relieve the sensory experience with mental constructs based on memory, he says it's not memory. It's an imprint, and it's a habit that you form on the basis of sensory experience, which is why with Pat Ogden, sensory motor, I'll use one of her examples and then we'll leave it for the day. But one, everybody is a child of God. So good love comes when you are the inner child of you who now knows open-hearted spontaneity, and you use 2 sides of the brain, and you know all your triggers and all this stuff so that you can hold it and have exercise and things that you do in group, or depends, the journey. Some of us, we don't need that because we're restorative, embodied, again, self-aware, accountable, regulating people who have the secure attachment, non-traumatized life. So we easily are here where I tell you I'm at from, and that's because that's just how it works. For some of us, I would say we're lucky, because definitely I'm going to consider myself lucky that I get to experience grace, bliss out, and to explain it to you, humanly speaking, so you can bring it forth yourself if you want, and to then have access to that which is yours to the first place. But so she's Pat Ogden is working with a person who just proposed to a woman and then completely left her, and doesn't know why. So he goes to her. He's like, I know I love her, but I did this thing. And they work with movement, body movement. And as they're working with it, the image comes up of him at home and him having or hearing a conversation. So basically he thought or felt marriage is I lose my independence. As they worked through that, he resolved it, went back and got married. So that's only one of the many aspects that people can have. But imagine another story is we have, I forget her last name, but Julianne talks about a patient of hers who, this broke my heart to pieces. Well, there's a lot that break my heart, meaning this is so sad, but the mother would lock up the children, starving, no food. And then the morning they would wake up, they would come out, they'd be hungry, and she would describe to them things they ate, telling them that they ate food. And this person's healing with them, but as she's describing, she's like, imagine, you don't know what to believe. You had to, as a child, believe that which you were being told, because your body knows that you depend on that human being. And really, they're the ones who are teaching you what truth is. So the trauma child, as Patrick T. Hannon points out, they're distorted self-perception. They have a distorted perception. As long as you do not become the kind, open-hearted, spontaneous inner child of you, with at least the knowledge of when your other stuff comes up, you have distorted lenses. And that's where we all have subjective experience and perspectives. I know about mine. And what's fantastically fabulous is being able to know that by being non-reactive and choosing equanimity and choosing love and choosing how Jesus and God and Holy Spirit and all that, that I've been able to consistently also address things, number one, in the way that I've wanted to, with integrity, but also with that compassion and understanding, and with the sciences, knowing that that is something sad. And there was a quote, I don't have it though, but that I saw in an ICABM, and it talked about, actually it wasn't an ICABM, that's right. A moment of patience in a moment of anger saves 1,000 moments of regret. This is the master said, Ali ibn Abu Talib. And I will say that when people are reactive and they say things they don't mean, they can regret this. And actually that's where I haven't done out of anger. There's one thing as a person that I've said that later on I said, I regret that, because now I can't take it back. But as I even thought it, I said, well, not really, because if there's one person that I'm okay with having said something like that to, it is that person, because I actually meant it. And really, if I went back in that moment in time, I will say the same thing I said in that exact moment in time. And it wasn't a reaction. No, it was a statement made from, I can't believe you actually didn't support me at all. This is unforgivable. And it's not true, because I don't have unforgivable, but it was spoken. So, but yeah, that's where I contemplated regret, and I said, nah, I don't. Yes, I regret it because I can't take it back, but reality, I don't regret it. I said what I believed in, what I think. In that case, it's not just a belief, it's exactly how I contemplated that, and how it felt. So, while isn't, I don't forgive you. And again, some people think expanding on these means a person's trying to make it sound a certain way. And that's the part of where, for me, it's expanding based on how the world feels here, because being a person who has introception, this is what makes a difference. Because I can definitely know a lot about the emotions that come up. But again, if we have to box it up, some people like boxes in ways that are very small. Some people can bigger boxes. And really, it's about finding those sweet spots. Because I have boxes too. I might not call them that, but I'll be able to use them again. So it's fun. It's fun to have different types of voices in my personal perspective, but that's because nobody takes it personally when you're a person that does love and that doesn't take offense and that remembers, yes, we can all make mistakes, so we can all have moments of regret. But some of us, it's a plane that is, again, a surfboard, because thoughts and emotions are navigated on a infinite plane of possibility from the neutrality above, which is the ventral energy. And that's why it's different. So contemplating and feeling doesn't weigh you down or make you feel like it's burdening. So there's no trauma in that way, because trauma is how your nervous system is handling that. So mindfulness, mindset help to obviously get you to more elasticity, but that's only if you do it. Some people, like that Zen master, again, he doesn't. Then again, some people say DNA makes a difference. I can't tell you that, because I can only tell you what I live from my embodiment of the thoughts and the feelings and the body. So it's a subjective experience. That's why we come together and talk, and that's why we also enjoy IHP, because discerning minds really have a good time. Curious, open, accepting, loving. So we resonate because we consistently learn how to just chit chat and not be in our sympathetic, and to also remember we use words differently, and that we don't need to get upset about it, but if we ask enough, we'll figure out how to do it, and then we also have fun with that. Some people don't like it. Again, linear thinkers particularly, they like to keep things 1, 2, 3, 4, so that they won't be here. It's okay though. That's where those of us who are mystics. We're creators, and we have a brain that likes to just continuously be here in the creator space and dynamic. So we like the unknown. We're okay with infinite possibilities. We do not believe in any way, shape, or form that our brain will fall out of our assholes. And this is what we do. So this is how we do it. Some people, they don't. And some people, they do. Thanks for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great 2222 and it's really amazing because duality. It's. I'm thinking. We'll be back. But for those of you who are in tune with the energies, I'm sure you had noticed. We also have a new moon coming up soon, so we'll be back again. Have a good one.